Emma's white dress swayed gently as she stood frozen in the narrow aisle of first class, her small hands clutching the straps of her backpack like the world might slip away if she let go. Blue eyes shimmering with tears she wouldn't shed, lips pressed in a tight line, and you could see its shoulders curling inward as if she could make herself invisible if she tried hard enough. In front of her, Nancy Doyle, the head flight attendant, leaned in, her spine like a steel rod, eyes cold, voice low but sharp enough to slice right through you. "You'll need to leave the plane," she said, just loud enough for the rows ahead to hear, one manicured finger pointing to the open cabin door. And man, the whole aircraft just seemed to hold its breath. People stopped fussing with their bags. The hum of pre-flight chatter stilled. Even the air felt different, heavy, static, waiting for something ugly to happen. I sat there, seat belt hanging loose at my waist, mind already racing with a dozen ways to shield Emma from the gathering eyes, from the judgment rolling off those in first class who thought they bought peace, not drama. "No one's in trouble," I said to her, calm as I could muster, even as my own pulse thudded in my ears. Nancy's expression didn't change. And then, like an angel stepping out of the crowd, a silver-haired woman in sturdy shoes took a single, deliberate step forward. "That child has done nothing wrong," she whispered Edith Cole, though I didn't know her name yet. Nancy's finger didn't waver, still pointing. "There's a flag on this child's record," she said, "standard procedure." Like that made it less absurd. I handed over everything: boarding passes, Emma's passport, my driver's license, a notarized guardianship letter I carried on every trip since my wife died, and across the aisle, a man in 14D, the type who wears concern like a performance, watched us with the look of someone fitting puzzle pieces together that didn't belong to him. "Just trying to help," he piped up, voice raised, like he wanted everyone's attention. "Jenna," I asked, catching the eye of a younger attendant hovering near the galley, "is there any higher authority on board?" But Nancy shut that down. "I am the authority." Lights brightened, fans whispered, and Emma's unicorn keychain caught the light as she tried to shrink away. "Daddy, am I breaking a rule?" she whispered, just as Nancy tapped her radio and started speaking in clipped syllables like she was reading a script. I matched Emma's breathing, just 4 in, 4 out, and she relaxed just a little. Edith took a seat across from us, belted herself in, a look on her face that dared anyone to move her. Security was on the way, Nancy announced, her voice like ice, and the boarding slowed to a trickle, passengers craning necks. I kept my anger neat and folded, but inside, man, I was boiling. "If your concern is authenticity, Nancy, we can settle that here, now, without parading her through the cabin." But she just shook her head. "Policy requires removal when a minor is flagged." Jenna's device chimed, her face draining as she checked it. "Someone is still updating the flag," she muttered, 3 minutes now, down to 2. Marcus, a senior attendant, caught my eye, gave me a tiny shake of his head and push, "Not yet." This wasn't a mistake. Someone was actively trying to get Emma off this plane right now. "Sir," Nancy said, "we'll have to ask you both to disembark until this can be cleared." I saw a flicker in her gaze. This was coming from higher than her, maybe higher than the cockpit. Overhead, the announcement tone chimed, and the captain's voice asked everyone to remain seated while a minor issue was resolved. A mother, too, rose back, pulled her own daughter close, eyes flicking between us and Nancy. Edith broke the tension. "She's with her father." I saw them check in together. Nancy's jaw didn't budge. "Ma'am, please remain seated." The radio crackled. Security would be there in under a minute. I checked the display on Jenna's handheld red flag. Unauthorized, unaccompanied minor. Impossible. Her ticket had been linked to mine since the day I booked it. The flag had been added less than 3 minutes ago. Someone with system access. Someone who wanted Emma off this plane before the doors sealed. I pulled out my phone, thumbed to the contact, labeled AF. 1 ring, nothing said, just a click. Nancy tensed. Outside, the clatter of heavy boots up the jet bridge told me security was here. But then the PA crackled, "Captain, requesting Nancy to the cockpit." She hesitated, then disappeared. Jenna leaned in. "Whatever you just did, it's working." I didn't reply because I knew this was just starting. Nancy returned, jaw set, and motioned us to the galley, a slim tablet on the counter. Boarding passes, NID. Jenna scanned them, they match. But Nancy wasn't finished. She tapped into the airline's internal app. A red banner flashed. Guardian mismatch. A thumbnail photo popped up. Emma in her white dress at the gate. Time-stamped less than an hour ago. Taken low and off angle. Someone had snapped it without us knowing. This wasn't in the file during check-in. Jenna protested. Marcus appeared. Photos from inside. The terminal. Someone with badge access pulled it from a security feed. Not standard at all. Whoever did it overrode the original Guardian match. This wasn't protocol. This was sabotage. Nancy crossed her arms, clinging to speculation. Marcus stood firm. We have eyes. My voice dropped. If your concern is safety, you'll let me resolve this with channels above operations. Her brows arched. Above operations? I called AF again, this time letting it ring a few extra seconds before hanging up. Jenna glanced at the cockpit. Captain's going to get pinged in about 30 seconds. Marcus managed a tight smile. Operations will have to explain why a match was flipped twice in under 10 minutes. I knelt by Emma, smoothed her hair. You're okay. We're okay. She nodded. Bravest kid I ever knew. The PA called Nancy to the cockpit again. Jenna whispered, We're with you. This isn't right. Marcus added, No one takes her out of this cabin without your say-so. My phone buzzed. AF saw the flag. Who's pulling strings? I typed, working on it. Emma asked, What now? Now we wait for the right people to notice the wrong thing, I said. And right about then, the man in 14D angled his phone toward us. Lips moving, check the kid. I felt the heat rise in my face. Nothing you need to worry about, I told Emma. I want to speak to the captain now, I told Jenna. But Nancy slid back in, curtains snapping open. The captain is aware. He's handling it. I'd prefer to speak with him directly. That's not protocol, she countered. Protocol? I tasted the word, felt wrong, hollow. An elderly man across the aisle, Franklin Moore, stood, his voice steady. I'm a retired attorney. I watched them check in together. She belongs here. Nancy's gaze hardened. Sir, please sit down. I'm authorized to speak the truth, he replied, sinking back as her stare cut him down. I caught Emma's hand. He's trying to help us. Yes, he is. If your chain of command prevents the captain from hearing from the passenger in question, maybe your chain's broken, I said to Nancy. The PA chimed. Jet bridge hissed. The cabin went quiet. Every phone angling toward us. Operations wasn't done. 14D was still busy on his phone. Maybe uploading, maybe reporting. I motioned to Marcus. Watch him. Marcus nodded. Sir, you need to remain in your seat until we resolve this, Nancy said. Then bring the captain here, I replied. 3 minutes later, the cabin door closed. Does that mean we're going? Emma whispered. Not yet. The captain came on the PA, his voice steady. Brief delay due to procedures regarding an unaccompanied minor. Emma shrank. I squeezed her hand. It's what they're calling you, but it's not true. Moore met my gaze, a silent nod of support. 14DS phone flickered, a ghost of a smirk on his lips. The plane was quiet, the air tense. I stood by the forward bulkhead, phoned AF, whispered, Flight 4821 Minneapolis to LaGuardia, then hung up. A beat later, chimes rang behind the cockpit door. Captain's attention pulled to his crew iPad, probably seeing my name, my company's contract on the line. Nancy was watching me, jaw tight. The cockpit door cracked open. Michael Harris, the captain, stepped out, cap back, beads of sweat at his hairline. Mr. Carter, you and your daughter should return to your seats for now. I nodded. He nodded, and he called Nancy aside for a quiet, sharp exchange. Nancy phoned someone. I could guess who. Victor Hale, director of route operations, the man who could greenlight or kill our safety contract. Emma asked, Are we okay now? Better than before, I said, but not done yet. Nancy's posture screamed, cornered animal. Michael returned to the cockpit. PA chimed. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Short delay for coordination with operations. Carefully neutral. Nancy, checking bins with force, paused by our row, narrowed her eyes, moved on. Emma watched her go. She doesn't like us. She just has to do the right thing, I replied. Marcus nodded from the back. I wasn't alone. The cockpit door unlatched. Michael stepped out. We have the matter in hand. Latest verification came through. Emma started to relax, but then Jenna appeared, pale. The flag, it's changing in real time. Someone's playing. My jaw clenched. Then we need to see the access log. Michael shut it down. Not possible. Jenna glared, but knew better than to push. Marcus emerged from the back, whispered to Jenna. PR told the captain, if there's a disruption, offer voluntary rebooking. There it was. If we left quietly, there'd be no record, no proof. No one would know how close Emma came to being erased. Michael hesitated at the cockpit. Nancy appeared with a printed page. Mr. Carter, we can offer a complimentary rebooking. If we decline, we proceed with protocol, which could take some time. I tapped the page. This says passenger initiated. If we sign, it's like we asked to be removed. Standard form, she replied. No, I said, not blinking. Emma folded the paper in half, handed it back. Nancy took it, her face a mask, but her thumb flew over her phone as she walked away. Emma asked, why did she want me to sign it? Because if you can't win the truth, you try to rewrite it. In the hush that followed, Edith Cole's voice cut through. Enough of this. That child has done nothing wrong. You're treating her like she's stolen something. Heads turned, phones came out, screens lit up, passengers started recording. Edith called out, you flagged her. I saw you speak to that man in 14D before they boarded. 14D froze. Nancy's eyes flicked his way. Please return to your seat. Nancy tried. This is a decency matter. Edith shot back. A man across the aisle began live streaming, narrating what he saw. Skyline bias, she belongs. The hashtag spread, light from the phones like a constellation in the cabin. Nancy's radio crackled, the galley filled with the smell of coffee. My phone vibrated, video message, grainy security footage. Nancy at the gate speaking to 14D before boarding, her hand cupped to hide her words. The timestamp was 20 minutes before boarding. Collusion. I cued the video, stepped into the aisle. Nancy, I have information for the captain. Protocol doesn't cover this unless protocol now includes ignoring crew collusion. Phones angled up, passengers murmuring. Jenna let me through to the cockpit. Michael watched the video, face darkening. When was this? 20 minutes before boarding, gate C23, sent anonymously. This changes things, he said. It should. Back in my seat, Emma squeezed my hand. Did you show him? He saw it. Edith nodded at me. But Nancy was at the interphone, her posture rigid, lips moving fast. Michael came on the PA. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reviewed new information. Miss Emma Carter is traveling with her father, Mr. Daniel Carter, as booked and verified. Any previous discrepancies were incorrect data. We apologize. Emma blinked, whispered, he said my name. Michael continued. We'll be investigating how these errors occurred. Passengers applauded. Emma shrank a little, cheeks pink, eyes bright. Nancy stepped out, chin high, defending her protocol, her actions, her training. 14D sat pale and silent. My phone buzzed screenshot, airline PR chat log. If this gains traction, shift narrative to passenger conduct. Emphasize voluntary rebooking. Protect crew safety at all costs. Thumbs up from PR staff. The cover up in black and white. I forwarded it to AF, got a reply. Already moving. Michael, Marcus, and Jenna conferred. The cabin's hostility had turned. People offering nods, faint smiles. The engines began their low whine. Cabin lights brightened. Michael announced, per FAA directive, we are entering monitoring status for the duration of this flight. Meaning FAA was watching everything, building the record. Nancy's shoes clicked as she returned to the galley. In row 14, the man who said, check the kid, stared at his tray table. Emma squeezed my hand. We're in the air soon. Good. I don't like it when the floor doesn't move. As we taxied, Marcus murmured, PR told the captain to divert. Land at a smaller field, keep the press away. I caught Michael just as Nancy finished pleading. You divert this plane, you'll have news helicopters chasing you down. 10 times bigger than it is. Michael got a text AF, do not divert. Maintain original destination. That's direct from FAA, he said. Nancy hissed, cover for what? Michael replied, cover to follow actual chain of command. And as of this moment, that command isn't coming from PR. The cockpit chimed. Michael nodded. Time to strap in. He looked at respect, maybe in his eyes. As we rolled out, Michael came on the PA again. But this time, formal lead flight attendant Nancy Doyle is relieved of duty for the remainder of this flight. Duties will be assumed by Marcus Lee. Gasps, whispers, Nancy froze, mask cracking for the first time. Marcus stepped forward. I'll take it from here. Nancy handed over her tablet, walked briskly to the back jump seat. Is she in trouble? Emma whispered. She's out of the game. But I knew this was bigger network. Not one person, and the network had just lost their lead. Jenna appeared, urgent. I need to show you something. In the galley, she pulled up the crew operations portal. Every time someone accesses a profile, it logs a record. Look, the last flag on Emma was added by user ID M. Harris 784 Michaels. But the access came from a ground terminal, not the cockpit. Michael joined us, studied the entry. That's my ID, but not my location. Someone spoofed. Only one person in operations has that kind of access without raising an alert. Victor Hale, I said. Jenna pulled the IPNY Operations Center. I typed into my company's secure channel freeze partner interface, preserve transaction logs. You just cut them off? Jenna asked. I just made sure evidence doesn't vanish. Michael's jaw flexed. If Victor knows, he'll panic. And a panic man leaves fingerprints. You're not just protecting your daughter anymore, he said. No, I replied. I'm protecting the record of what happened and who made it happen. We stood in the galley, a triangle of urgency, Emma giggling at her window, unaware of the network unraveling above and below us. We began descending into LaGuardia, the skyline glinting in Emma's window. Relief was short. As soon as we landed, I saw them crowd behind barricades, cameras, FAA, airport security, a wall of eyes. Michael's voice over the PA. Certain parties will board for official purposes. FAA agents and security escorted us out. You're not obligated to speak, but if you do, keep it brief. I stopped where the audio was cleanest. If a child can be flagged, misidentified, and nearly removed from a flight despite proper documentation, that's not an individual failing. That's a systemic one. My focus is on ensuring this doesn't happen to another family. Accountability must be structural. Before the crowd could swarm, my phone buzzed. Airline CEO, board wants to meet tonight. No PR, just principles. One condition: Emma leaves through a private exit. Done, he said. FAA security led her out with Claire, a friend, while I walked toward the conference room, toward the next battle. The Midtown office was glass and steel, the CEO at the head, FAA beside him, their faces careful but grave. We want to resolve this constructively. I laid out 5 reforms: mandatory bias awareness training, verify without humiliation for minors, transparent access logs for edits, a hotline for vulnerable passengers, and an independent oversight board with public findings. If you agree, I'll forego legal action. This isn't about one lawsuit. It's about closing the gap. One more TINA 10-year scholarship fund for kids who want to work in aviation, jointly administered, not about me, about the future. They agreed. FAA would monitor compliance. Victor Hale on leave, Nancy with due process. Later on the ferry, Emma and I watched the Statue of Liberty slide by, the city glowing gold. What happened today, Daddy? She asked. Was it because people didn't look right? Yeah, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, or let rules tell them what's true. So they were wrong? They were wrong. But the important part is they learned something. The rules will help instead of hurt. She nodded, the wisdom of a child who's seen the world blink. At home, Skyline Air announced immediate reforms. FAA recommended industry-wide changes. Every reporter who called, I gave the same answer: no interviews. This wasn't about us. It was about fixing the system. Emma sipped cocoa on the couch, backpack still slung over one shoulder. Next time we fly, can I sit by the window? Next time, every time you get the window. Later, when the house was quiet, I stood by the window, city lights shimmering. Somewhere out there, the next Emma would board her flight without being turned into a suspect in her own seat. And for me, for tonight, that was enough. If you followed this far, I want to hear your take. Was justice done? Or is the system still broken underneath? Would you have done the same or walked away? Drop your thoughts below, because stories like this only matter if they lead to real change. And sometimes the loudest voice is the one that starts with a single question. What would you do?